Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Eric here, and today we have a super special guest, Mr. Peter Lynch. He is the CEO of Unshakable Pro. He's doing a lot of great things. I'm going to let him explain that, right? But I'm going to tell you, you're in for some gold nuggets here. Just the way he thinks about business. I've talked to him a few times, and he's got a brain that just like you need on your team. So, without further ado, Peter, you want to tell us more about like who you help and kind of like what you do and how you help them?
Yeah, dude. Well, thanks. First of all, I feel humbled by that. That level. Hopefully, I can live up to the high standards there. But yeah, I mean, what I do is help coaches, experts, entrepreneurs craft, launch, and sell a $10,000 plus offer. Right. So I call it a high
Okay.
ticket offer. High ticket is a vague term. It can mean anything from like $3,000 and up. In my world, as a coach, as a service provider, etc., if you're out there and you're helping people, you're working with them. You're not just selling a course, right? You're actually working with people to achieve a transformational result in their business, in their life, in their
Mhm.
health, their fitness, their wealth, whatever arena you happen to be working in, right? Whether that's financial planners or life coaches, anywhere and everything in between and outside of that, right? You should have a 10,000. I just firmly believe every coach should have a $10,000 offer or more or bigger, or and why not bigger and grander, right? But at least a $10,000 offer, and that's what I help them do.
Gotcha. And what sort of coaches do you work with? Is it business coaches, like fitness coaches, or a little bit of both?
Both, yeah. The
Yeah.
beauty is the system works for whether you're doing more soft skills or hard skills, as it were, right? Whether you're helping somebody with their business, you're helping them with their marketing, you're helping them with something more tangible, technical, or you're doing the intangible, right? The life coaching, the performance, the productivity, all of it.
Oh,
Because it all distills down to understand as the coach, as the practitioner. The process is about extracting your gold, your expertise, and packaging it in a new and up-leveled way, so that you can first of all have the confidence in the full value that you bring to the market, and then be able to raise
okay.
the price accordingly, right? Because I look at every coach, our businesses, service providers, et cetera, all of us, our business is an extension of ourselves, right? So the real work is about understanding who am I, what do I really bring to the table, how do I package that value in a
Oh, okay.
clearer, simpler way, right? So I can raise my prices without increasing my workload. That's a key one, right? Because I'm all about the
Right, right.
systems. If you distill down what your system is, that's your process. And ultimately, that's what people buy. Nobody buys coaching. You know what I mean? We don't go to Walmart
Right.
and buy, I want some coaching. What's coaching? Right? I'm a coach. And so some people get offended. We're like, oh, you're talking down about coaching. I'm not talking down about coaching. And just coaches, we've got to remind ourselves that nobody wants coaching. We all want a result. When I go hire a coach, I don't hire them because they say, hey, you want some coaching? Pay me and I'll coach you. See ya. Right? No, thanks. What are you going to help me achieve? Because I know where I'm at. I'm a motivated buyer. I'm always because I'm kind of one of these dudes who just burns hot. I'm always taking it for granted. I'm always ready to do the next thing. And I'm a motivated buyer. So for me, I'm not looking for coaching. I'm looking for what's the fastest track to get to where I want to go in whatever
Okay.
arena I'm looking to get there. Right. So I just help people distill that, extract that knowledge, put it into a package that makes sense, that's desirable. It's productization of IP is part of what's going on, right? Because IP is intangible. So how do you make the intangible tangible? Whether that's business
Right.
coaching, life coaching, health coaching, right, etc. So long answer, but all coaches,
Sounds good. I like it.
mostly,
I like it.
unless you're doing manifestation or something like that. Sorry, guys, um, not my realm. I like something where you can get results because you can prove a process to get those results, not something that's super out there. We're going, well, this is wishful thinking and we like it, so we're going to sell
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
it.
Okay. And that's interesting. And I know one of the things you said a few minutes ago was like it's about like discovering who you are and just nailing it down and conveying that in a way that's attractive to your clients. So I'm just wondering, man, like, who is Peter then? Like how did you get into this? Yeah, man, I'd like to hear that story.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I mean, similar to kind of what you shared too, right? Just the journey of hard knocks, getting kicked in the teeth a lot.
Mm,
I grew up, I was always very entrepreneurial and definitely just unconventional. Never felt like I fit into the norm of, well, that's what are you going to do when you grow up? And I just tried really hard to find my place in society. Um, and I thought that that was going to be some form of blue collar work, trades work. And then I thought, well, maybe I can just level up a little bit there and go move into more of like engineering. And never found like the one thing I never felt very smart in school, and never felt like I fit any of the system, right? Especially when you put me on track to like, hey, you're going to spend a lot of years here doing stuff that I feel like I can just do this in a year and get it done with and just get to work, right? Anyway, I just never fit. And then I felt like, well, there must be something wrong with me. So I spent years of my life just feeling like there was something wrong with me. I must be a failure. Spiraled pretty deep with that. Got to some dark places with just my own inner psyche and depression. And I bring it all up because it's all now part of the building blocks of that experience is what I leverage today. The engineering, the dark depression, right? Working through these things for myself has been what's equipped me to help others find their purpose, conquer their fears, tap into their purpose. Because I mean, I really believe the answer to depression is tapping into your purpose and living into calling, right? Depression comes when life gets empty. The fulfillment is when your life is full. How is your life full? Because you're giving, you're overflowing, you're sharing your gifts with others. That's part of my belief, right? That's part of the foundational piece behind coaching offers. But yeah, so I mean, you fast forward, it's like, well, then I went through, had some leadership positions, helped some companies scale, like add 7 figures and to their bottom line. And then I worked with troubled youth, and then just ended up my daughter was born, and it was a few months after that I just kind of had this crisis. I'm like, what am I doing? Where am I going? And it led me to leave everything and just start a business because that's always where I'm drawn. And it was a carpentry business essentially. I was doing repairs, maintenance, building stuff. I mean, I really tried to do all the cooler projects I could, but I ended up just fixing random stuff, whatever. Led
mm,
me to then landing a national contract doing repairs for Louis Vuitton stores, and that was my first
okay.
experience with right. All of a sudden, I went from kind of a commodity, a local commodity, to being this high ticket service provider, getting paid a lot of money for what was for me easy work, but they needed somebody they could
Hmm.
trust. They needed somebody that they knew would follow through. And I was flown across the country working on Louis Vuitton stores. And it was 2019. I realized, okay, I really want to be a coach that had been building for years. And I'm like, it's finally time to stake my flag. I have no idea how to transition from service, right? Getting paid to go do stuff, tangible results, to how do I now sell coaching? And so that was a
Oh,
real
okay.
critical moment for me. And studied, read a lot of stuff, watched a lot of YouTube videos, paid for courses, right? Paid for program other coaches with very mixed results. And it's like, man, it just seems like nobody really knows how to help you extract in alignment with your heart, what you're calling and your purpose, and turn that into a real business. A lot of things were just very heel and stick. We'll just do this. Help people maximize their money or whatever. That's easy to sell. I don't want another one of those offers. I really wanted to deeply impact people with what I knew and support them in the business journey. So anyway, fast forward, learned how to sell coaching. When I finally had my first breakthrough month of actually selling, I sold 12 can contracts, not cash collected, but contracts as a life coach. And then from there, it grew from there. I realized I really love serving other coaches. And that connects with my purpose because by empowering other coaches, we together are having a greater ripple effect, positive effect on the rest of humanity. Right. So every coach that I empower to impact their lives, I'm a part of supporting them in that industry. I'm not taking credit for them. They do the work always. That's a deep piece of it's almost sacred to me. I don't take credit for client results because it's their results. They did the work. My honor and passion is to support them and equip them, provide the insights, be a good coach, right? So that's a long story. And then, so yeah, then came raising prices for me, going from 4K to 10K, realizing, wow, this
Okay.
is life changing. More people need to know about this. And then I got hit with my own personal hiatus because personal life kind of just, took a break, went into like consulting work, which was just marketing stuff. Was good at it, boring. No, yeah, and so here I am again. There you go. Long, trying to make
Got
short
you.
in the ballpark.
Hey man, thank you for sharing all that, man. Yeah, that's some really good stuff, man. And there seems to be a common theme in the entrepreneurial space with people who didn't quite fit in school. I know I was one of those kids. People who spent time spent time in institutions and spent time in the principal's office and the back of police cars and hospitals and whatnot. And I definitely know I'm one of those guys. And there's a ton of me out there. And something you said really caught my attention. You said that you were in a dark place like depression and I think you said anxiety too, right? I'm not sure. Depression
I
and
never, I was just
um,
very, yeah, it's depression, very
yeah.
suicidal.
Oh man. Well, I'm thank you for staying with us, dude. I mean that, dude. I mean that. And you said that like depression and like suicidal thoughts and like working through that, and you somehow combine that with like engineering. Like I'm just wondering, like when you combine, because those to me are like depression, suicidal thoughts, and like engineering, like those to me seem like very like far apart concepts, but you somehow manage to connect them into your business. Like I'm just wondering, like how does connecting those two, along with your marketing skills that you paid courses to learn, how does connecting all that stuff look in the service of a client who hires you?
Mm. Yeah,
And if you could, like, if you're okay with sharing like results, like you don't have to, if you're okay with sharing results and all that kind of stuff, it'd be interesting to hear.
sorry, something stuck in the back of my throat all of a sudden. Yeah, totally. Results have been just inspiring and humbling. There's nothing I love more than asking, like, hey, can you write something about your experience? And then getting something back, a video back, where somebody's saying he traveled the world, done ayahuasca, studied to be a coach, got certified as a coach himself. And he said, he's like, he found out what a coach is when he worked with me. That's his line, not mine. And I'm just like, that means the world. It's like, this is somebody who spent years searching and then in a few sessions found insight and breakthrough and peace with himself so that he could move forward. Right. So that's where, so that, and so leading to your other question, which I love, is like, how do all these things intersect? And that's always a fascinating, like an obsession. I'm very much an obsessive person, you know? But yeah, it's a, like, well, how does it work? I've always grown up with like a spiritual sensitivity, it just, that means a great deal to me, but how do I apply it is also this obsession. So I love the mystical. I love philosophy. I love dealing with the intangible. But then how does it work? How do I apply this in my life? So I think that answer, like the struggle with depression and then engineering concepts, applying that now in business. I mean, for me, I break it down. When my work breaks down into three core critical tiers, which is basically like it's the mindset, it's the offer itself. I call it the bulletproof build, which has to do with your offer, your message, your brand, right? Because but the mindset is first, and then you have the build, and then you go sell it, right? And so there's systems behind these stuff. There's philosophy as well, but the core one there is instead of starting with a question when you go build an offer, when you go launch your business, instead of starting with good questions, but that I've watched because I've been part of programs myself and then working with my own clients, I've watched consistently coaches who have a heart for service, whether that's business, life, parenting coaches, right? Health
Mhm.
coaches, mindset coaches, all of them. They have such a heart for service, but when they're posed with the simple questions that we all have to answer, who do you help? What's your niche? How are you going to define your ideal client? Like, I don't know
Mm.
because I want to help everybody. Every parent needs this. Yes. And I want you to help every parent because what you do is great work and every child would benefit, right? If all parents were healthier, like how would the world be better? it's amazing, right? But we got to start somewhere.
Mm.
How do you know where the hell to start? That's the question. I mean, this was for me too. I'm like, I just want to help I just want to make sure if there was one thing that if I could wave a magic wand, and I asked this as a question too. So I mean, I'm sure an actual process. Like, if I could wave a magic wand, what problem am I solving? Well, depression. Because I've been there. So I mean, it's absolutely viscerally meaningful to me. But it's also because I just feel like, well, people, if there was no more depression, how much better would the world be for everyone? Right? How much
Mm.
more creativity would we have? How much, just beneficial all around. I can't do that, but that's an anchor point for me in everything else I do. And now my work is keeping connected to that, right? Even though I'm not nowhere directly in my marketing do I say I'm in, like I'm going to help coaches in depression. It's not the thing, but I think it's just it's part of the human experience, right? Is feeling down at times, feeling uncertain at times, right? And the more that then we connect with ourselves and our own heart, the more that becomes the spring, like the source is here of the business, not up here. And that's the problem with starting with the rational questions of who do you help, how do you help them, what's going to make the most business sense, great questions, right? Can they pay? Is it going to be profitable? We've got to address those questions, but those are rational questions. But starting with if the mind and the heart aren't aligned, there's conflict,
Mm.
there's dissonance, and that dissonance and that conflict becomes unbearable. And what I see is a lot of people launch, they struggle to sell, and then it kind of fizzles out because they launched
Mm.
something that made sense, but it wasn't connected, it wasn't aligned, and so they struggled to hold it because it takes I mean, a crazy example of this is actually the way the structure of the brain. Like if the pons, which is like the very primal base of the brain, if it's not fully developed, you have to augment those basic functions like balance. You have to augment your balance with your prefrontal cortex. So that means if you're trying to learn, this happened to a kid sitting in school trying to pay attention, he would fall out of his
Mhm.
seat because he couldn't balance and learn at the same time because he had to use all of this energy for one thing or the other because this wasn't developed. Right now, that's just in the brain, but I'm saying that on a bigger scale, like we can feel that same thing. Like if our businesses are out of alignment, we're compensating energy, right? And that's going to drain us and lead to burnout. So that's where I'm like, I'm trying to tackle these major things with a focus, which is the offer. And you take, and that's my promise process. You define your offer in the way that I have it laid out, and it's going to lead to these, right? How do I market it? Well, that's going to expand. How do I sell it? Though that's going to just feel great. I'm no longer pushing. I'm no longer trying to pull people in. I'm just sharing what I love and have a good process. So anyway, hope that answers.
Got you.
You know.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so now I know that like even for myself, like connecting the heart and the mind is very difficult. It's
Mm,
very difficult because we either tend to overthink things or we tend to underthink things, or we just
mm,
tend to think about the wrong things. And I know that having those things out of alignment, as you said, can lead to a lot of burnout, a lot of stress because you're projecting or you're selling like a business. You're trying to make sales, and no one's biting. And I imagine like, and I know for myself, I don't have to imagine. I know for myself that's a hard thing to stomach. So given all those like moving parts and just everything that's like on the line for these people, do you have like a process or like some kind of like method or philosophy when it comes to getting all these moving parts together? Maybe maybe you can share your screen if that's
yeah,
possible.
absolutely. Love to. It'll pop up right here. There it is. So yeah, this is what I
Here we
call the
go.
high ticket coach blueprint. And this is also another cool thing why I share this is how this is a deliverable for any clients who work with me, right? And this is just what I encourage all coaches to do, period, is I mean really where I stand on it, of course. Like I stand behind what I do. So I'm gonna say I think every business would benefit from having a clearly defined process to back the promise. Because to break marketing and messaging down, right? We're reaching out to people and we're saying, hey, well, here's the promise. You're in pain. You want to be here. That's the promise. Now let's show you exactly the steps to get there, right? Now all of a sudden I've removed sales friction because back to the awareness, the customer awareness journey. I mean, I think that this helps to facilitate that movement dramatically
Right.
because now people can look at, oh yeah, okay, well yes, these steps either they make sense and you're like, yeah, that's great. Of course, I want the high ticket mindset, and I understand that that is part of how to become a high ticket coach, right? Is you have to have the high ticket mindset. You have to own your own value. You have to stand in the confidence of who you are, which is where the alignment comes in. Who are you and what's your purpose? How are you, how are you sharing value with the world? Owning your own value, conquering the fear that stands in your way, and then igniting drive, which is all about really just getting out of your own way, right? So you can just move forward. So you can, we're going, I approach mindset from both angles of like, let's deal with the root issues as they come up, the limiting beliefs, and let's pull those out, but also just move forward no matter what, even when the head chatter comes up, because it's just going to happen. We're all going to have like doubts, fears, things pop into our head. A lot of times it's not even our own thoughts. Weird. I mean, that's a whole other topic to get into, not here, but right. So at some point you just have to be connected with why you're doing this, where you're not going to let anything stop. That's what this first tier is all about, right? Is standing in your own confidence, connecting with your own purpose, owning your value and your gifts, and getting the fear out of the way. That's the number one thing that's prevents. What if it doesn't work? What if this? Or actually going deeper and saying, well, I'm actually afraid to make a mistake because I'm comfortable where I'm at. Right? So money issues, success issues, all those kind of things play in. And these are all things that have to be pulled out. Because if we're really looking at it, like a lot of coaches, the reason they're not selling a high ticket offer is not because they don't know necessarily how to raise the price. I mean, we just raise the price, right? And even if they know how to put together a compelling offer, they're still going to get in their way. That's why this is stage one. Is because we all need this. I never approach it as like, I'm better than you. That's what a good coach just helps other people be better. A good coach is not better than other people. You know what I mean? I live by that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the mindset, and then like I said, we move into high ticket build, which is over here. It starts with the offer, and then crafting the message around that, which is just how to share that value, communicate the value, and then building a brand. And this is a part that I love, right? So if you look at this first tier is very much the inner work. This second tier is this interesting bridge between the two, because all of this is still coming from here, and then we're starting to put it external and give it a structure. But the brand is an extension of you. This is one thing that drives me nuts sometimes when people are putting out a brand that comes from insecurity, self-doubt, trying to be like somebody else. I like to say, if you're trying to be someone, you are not being yourself. And if you're not being yourself, you are robbing the world of the gift that is you. So stand in your own value, own who you are, and be that, right? Stand for your own values. Talk about taming wolverines, right? So it makes the content like I connect with it, and that's why we're here, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And
It's
then the
true.
social selling system is just how to simplify, right? Because for me, a lot like whether this is your first high ticket offer or your next one, I just want everybody to have the solid way to go and implement all of this with practical content. This is one of these content is too, because a lot of coaches struggle with content, because we all know, like, well, if you want to show up, you got to make consistent content. And if you're like me and you're not a writer, right, you're not really good at it, which I don't teach content because I've always been naturally good at it. I struggled a lot with it, listening to Gary Vee say you got to post 5 times a day, and I'm like, how, right? Well, the beauty is the content can be fractal, which is you can make one piece of content and multiply it into many pieces of content that are all on track. That's the real key. They're all providing context from the offer. So the offer becomes the marketing. The offer becomes and then it all culminates in clarity sales, which is understanding how to sell high ticket using a simple process based in clarity. So there's never any pushy manipulative tactics, anything like that. It's just a way of making the process so clear for somebody that they can decide, right? And if you as their guide, when you facilitate someone's decision and you help them find the commitment, right? You clarify for them, where do you want to be? Sure, it's pretty simple here. Where do you want to be? Where are you now? What are the obstacles you're facing? What would happen if we could remove those obstacles for you? Right, right. Does this look like a good answer? How do you feel about this? Just very question based, right? Very exploratory. And then at the end, just, well, what would you like to do from here? It's my favorite close, right? No objection handling. No, like, oh, well, call up the credit card, see if you can get nothing weird. Just where would you like to go from here? If you did a good job, they're going to say, well, I want to work with you, right?
Okay.
Nice and easy. So
Okay.
really, and it happens a lot. That's the beauty. So clarity sales leads to higher conversion rates and easy, like enjoyable sales calls, and all of that called, that's the 9 complete steps to go from, so I put it here, confused, overwhelmed, and frustrated, right? Because I'm like, well, I want to do it, I just don't know how, to being a high ticket coach.
Gotcha. Okay. So it just seems, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it just seems that like all these steps are like the under the hood mechanics of really just being authentic and just being you.
I love it.
Is that,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
am I
Mm-hmm.
getting that right? Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And is there any, I'm just looking at it here. Is there any stage or any of these individual steps where you find most of your clients get hung up on? Like, which of these is the hardest to get past or to
Yeah.
accomplish?
Great question. Oh man, it's all right. Well, I feel a little braggadocious here, but I sequenced it this way because I think that alignment is the chief domino. I do think that the heaviest work that comes in here, and that because this part, right, it might sound like, well, slaying fear, that's really going to be hard work, right? It's like the classic mindset work comes in step 2. I put it as step 2, not step 1. Why? Is because if you're out of alignment, why does this happen, right? Big ticket mindset coaches telling people to mindset hack their way into something that's out of alignment. And it comes back to this idea of, well, then there's dissonance. You have to be in alignment with who you are. Like, we have mindset here of hacking into being an introvert if you're an extrovert and vice versa, right? And so you
Hmm.
can't say introvert tactics are better. Well, now I'm not good enough, and I have to hack my way into being an introvert, right? For instance, and vice versa. And there's different tactics and strategies that are going to work better. So even when it comes to content, I don't teach a one size fit all, because you might be better at writing than video. For me, I'm better at just showing up live.
Hmm.
I could go all day, or talking to people like this, I can go all day. Sitting down and typing is hard work for me, and I feel kind of
I'm the
stupid.
opposite.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
Yeah,
but one
yeah,
way or another, well, just lean into your strengths and just understand that as a baseline, there's a principle here, which is we have to share content. And the content has to achieve a certain purpose, which is to move people along the journey of buyer's awareness, which you just talked about, as part of your process. So we're on the same page there of like, how do you facilitate the buyer awareness journey so that they're going, oh man, I've been following your stuff. I want to take the next step with you. And the next step, and then how do we make that next step no resistance, right? But anyway, your question, I'm going way off as I always do.
no, I love it, man.
Way
I
down
love it.
rabbit
It's
hole.
awesome.
Chasing rabbits all day. But what's the hardest? I mean, I typically like it's again, it's sequenced this way because I would say that these 3 absolutely are the hardest. And if they're not done, especially alignment, I say if alignment is not in place, all the rest of this becomes a struggle.
Mm.
Right? You go to set your brand. I mean, brand is simple. Like, hey, how are you going? What colors resonate with you? What are your fonts? Right? Like, have a simple style guide. And what are your values? Right? Know what you stand for. What do you stand against? Things like that. Like, those are some
Yep.
keys to brand. Right? Just some basic personal branding. I'm not a personal brand guy per se, but I love personal brand. Why? Is because it really comes from alignment. And part of alignment is understanding your own energy, which a little segue into that is like if you look at like the idea of the 4 basic elements, which we know there's like a periodic table and you're supposed to memorize, and I never did, but
Yep.
4 I can remember. Right? earth, water, air, and fire. So, and that's an ancient philosophy, right? Maybe it's not scientifically correct, but if we look at it as a philosophy, as a way of understanding what the ancients have a lot to teach us. I always study the ancients. And so earth, water, air, and fire, we all fit into archetypes that have to do with the way that our energy expresses itself, which is how we engage with the world around us. I'm a fire type. So if I try to show up with muted tones, like look at my background. It's bold, it's rich, it's a little aggressive, it's this red, but it suits me. If I was to show up differently, it would be in a clash with me. And then what's that? So this is where it's like that's very intangible, but we have a process of discovering yours. And the result is you can build a brand that elevates trust instead of diminishing it. Because this is the problem. When, like,
Right.
if I was to show up, for instance, gray is the tone, the color of water. Not as in I know water's blue, right? Not like that. I mean, if you're a water type, you look great in muted tones and gray. I mean, you can wear colors too, but the tones are all softer, right? If
Mm.
I show up in soft tones, I look like an idiot because it's not who I am, right? It's a total clash. It's not that I don't have water in it. We all are made of all four, but as a primary expression, it's fire. So I need something that matches my intensity. Otherwise, when you come connect with me personally, you're just going to be like, what the heck? This is such a disconnect. But it'll show up even further, right? It's like the classic when people are taking profile pictures of them with an open mouth smile, and then you meet the dude in person, you're like, yeah, that's not you at all.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
subconsciously, as beings, subconsciously we pick up on that way before the head. Again, it's the heart picks up on it way before the head does. So even in
That's right.
brand, it's about bringing things back into alignment. So yeah, doing my best to explain, like hoping it's making sense because some of this is
Yeah,
so intangible, but it's always being connected to the tangible. That's again my kind of this tightrope
that's good. I
that
like
I
that.
seek to balance on.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. And if people wanted to learn more about this stuff, how would they be able to reach you?
Um, Yeah, best way here on Facebook. I mean, just comment high ticket on this. Yeah,
Yeah, you hear that, everyone? Just comment high ticket down below. Yeah, high
yeah,
ticket down below, and then
got a
Peter
gift
will
for you if
likely
you
reach
do.
out to you, or if you want to message me
Do this.
directly. Oh, you got something else here?
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, comment high ticket below, and I'd love to send this to you, which is an actual worksheet of how to craft your offer.
Nice,
Uh,
dude. That's so generous, man. That's so generous.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
guys. So yeah, comment high ticket below, or if you preferred, you could message me directly on Facebook, and I could introduce you to Peter himself.
Hmm.
Peter,
Hmm.
any last words? Any last nuggets you want to leave with people?
Just remember that your business is an extension of you. I stand by that. No matter what your business is, it's an extension of you. I've helped dudes in IT, in cybersecurity, in some of the most technical fields you can imagine. It's still an extension of who you are. So be
Mhm.
you and let your business
Mhm.
flow. Nothing's easy. I don't promise that. But when we step into ourselves, we can flow, and the experience goes from a grind to a flow, and that's a state of, and that's a beautiful thing. Whoa, what just happened to me? I
Uh-oh.
disappeared. I melded
You're
into.
disappearing, dude.
Woo!
You're melting into the background. All
It's my
right, guys. So
science.
yeah, once again, that's
Thank you so
Peter
much.
Lynch, the CEO of Unshakable Pro. If you want his, sorry, what was the name of your sheet, Peter?
Oh, it's the high ticket offer blueprint, or the yeah, whatever they call it.
Yeah,
What it,
if you guys
yeah, it's
want
the
a
coaching
copy of
offer
that,
builder. Hmm.
coaching offer, if you guys want a copy of that, just leave the words high ticket below in the comments, and Peter will reach out to you. Or if you want, you could DM me, and I could intro you to Peter himself. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Peter, that was a really good talk, man. I definitely learned a lot more about you, learned about your business, and dude, thank you so much for coming on, and I'll catch up with you later.
Yeah, right on. Thank
Have a
you.
good one, guys.